Hello, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is time for another Lawn Fawn Fans YouTube hop. This time we are doing summer themed cards with lawn fawn images because we're all huge fans. And this month we are being sponsored by the Not Too Shabby shop. So make sure you leave a comment below to be entered to win a $25 shopping spree to the Not Too Shabby shop. I am making a summer themed picnic card using the unicorn stamp set and a bunch of others which I just had roll across the screen for you. I've stamped them all out in jet black ink and onto some Copic friendly paper so I can color them with my Copic markers. It's pretty simple coloring. I have a really fun color combination, so I will put a lot of the coloring up here for you on the screen, but some of those teeny tiny images is really just one or two colors on the markers. I'm even only using two colors on this castle. So I'm outlining or highlighting with my darker color and then coming in with my lighter color. And then I'm doing a little stippling to kind of make it look more like sand. And that will finish up the sandcastle. And then my color combination is pink and teal and a bright green. So that's why my watermelon is that pink color. And then my greens I'm going to do next. So I just did all the things that were going to be pink and then all the things that were going to be green. I did have to go back and forth a little bit as I was coloring to be like, oh, I need a little bit more here, or oh, I'm going to color this like that. So I just was having fun. So if you don't see all the marker lids on the screen, so sorry. Sometimes I forget you're there and I'm just coloring for fun. So I will have a shot of all the markers at the end of the coloring that you can check out. And I love this soda can right here because I used to collect Coca-Cola things and I had a cherry Coke can that was turquoise and pink. So cool, right? Anyways, it reminded me of that, flashback to the 80s, and I think these colors are so fun for summer, and so I wanted to incorporate them on the unicorns. So they have all three colors in their mains, and they all are colored the same. I thought, oh, they would just maybe be from one family. And I outlined them with T0 to give a little bit of shadow. All right, so there's the images and all the Copic markers that I used. I'm going to now die cut all of these things, and if you have any question about die cutting, let me know, but I'm not going to show all that because, see, it took forever. And then I also die cut an additional unicorn from the Little Sparkle stamp set. That's the one that has its head turned looking behind it, about center screen. And then I did also stamp and color this umbrella. So I added a few things, and I even once before the card was finished added a few more. So now I'm just going in and adding a highlight with my white gel pen, which would have been much easier to do before I die cut them, but it still worked out. I just love a white highlight on my images, and I've been really working on this skill, and so I love it even more. Like, I just want a white gel pen every little thing. And this narwhal, isn't he cute? He thinks he should be invited to the unicorn picnic at the beach because, you know, he has a horn too. All right, so there's all my images with their highlights. They are just so cute. I could have just stamped and colored everything from all my beachy, oceany sets with these colors. I loved it so much. All right, so now we're going to move on to our background. I'm going to use the large slimline die set and die cut a panel that I'm going to ink up with some Distress Oxide inks. The first one is tea dye. I'm going to use this across the bottom of the card, and this is going to be the beach, the sandy area. I thought this was the perfect color for the sand. It really went with the colors that I chose for my sandcastle. So I'll just ink blend that on the bottom part of the card. I'm not worrying about masking off the area between the sand and the water because I'm going to add a little white foam for my water, but I will mask off the area that's going to be the sky. So I have a strip of masking paper that I'll put on the very top. It's just a very small portion. I don't need much sky for this card, and I had some hang off to help hold it in place, but I'm weird and I have to do things at an angle, So I'll just scoot that over and work on the water, which I am using peacock feathers because I wanted the water to kind of go with the teal in my card. So I thought this was a really fun and different ocean color, and it worked really well. I did feel like I wanted the edge of the horizon to be a little bit darker. So I really worked more on that area, but I just didn't have a big enough space to fade the ink out to be lighter. So I brought in some Lucky Clover. This was a risk. I know it. I was scared. I was nervous. And even right here when I put it down, I was like, oh no. Oh no. But I just kept going. When you're ink blending, don't give up, because I knew I needed to go back to the peacock feathers and blend them together. So let's see what happens. Blending, blending, blending. Not sure. Blend some more. And also, you want to give your blending like a little bit of time to like soak in the paper and just become one with the paper and totally chill out. And then you're really going to know what it looks like. And I am using Bristol smooth paper, so it's going to take a little time for that ink to just settle down. So I decided it was a go. I was going to keep it. And then I took a second piece of masking paper because my first one didn't want to re-stick down. And I stuck that over the water, but I wanted to make sure I had like the tiniest sliver of the water showing, because I want to make sure that I don't have a white space between the sky and the water. So I decided to go with a pink sky, like maybe this is at sunset, to pull in another one of the colors in my color combination. So I've picked raspberry here, and I'm just making a really dark pink night sky. And I think it's super yummy. These three colors together, super fun. So let's take a look. No white space. I'm so happy. However, my masking paper did decide to leave a little something special for me behind. I didn't like that at all. So I decided to be calm, and I got out my adhesive eraser and just buffed that away, and it worked out just fine. Phew, otherwise I would have just stuck a stamped image over it. So now I'm spritzing this with water to get some flecks and some splatter, picking the excess up with a paper towel, and it's fabulous. I needed a little bit more splatter though. So I have walnut stain ink that I, distress ink, not distress oxide. That's a tongue twister. Anyways, I squished it onto my glass mat, added a little bit of water. I'm using a paintbrush, and I wanted really fine splatter. So I'm using this acrylic sheet to kind of let my paintbrush go off that harsh edge. And when you do that, you get a little bit more fine of a splatter versus this, where I'm going to go for just bigger splatters. So I have Peacock Feathers Distress ink. This doesn't show up as much as I wanted it to, but I'm okay with it. I feel like it worked out in the end. So here I'm just tapping the paintbrush, and I get a little bit bigger splatter on that. So let's remove all the things and check out that background. I love it. Love it. Okay, so now I'm going in with some white acrylic paint. Now my paint was almost gone, but I didn't give up. I just cut the thing open and dipped my paintbrush in there. Also, it was a tiny bit dry, but that worked out because it gave me kind of like a textury look, which is what I wanted for where that foam of the wave meets the beach, right? So I just went over that a couple times so that none of the splatter showed through and it hid the seam. I let that dry, and now I'm just going to lay down some of those images so I can figure out where I want to add some cuts into this background. I want the narwhal to look as if he's like popping up from the ocean. And then this little unicorn here, I'm cutting off the cloud. I want him to look like he's swimming in the ocean. So I have my sandy beach accent dies that I'm using to create the slit in the paper. It has a slit that it creates and a stitched edge. So I'll run those through, and you can see there I have my two openings and little stitched lines that look like waves. You can also use them for the sand too. Very versatile. All right, so then I'm going to take the narwhal and tuck that into its little wave, and I added the glue on the back, but before I stuck it down, I thought, oh, I should cut between the fin so that when it's coming up out of the water, the fin can overlap that wave a little bit. So that's what I did there, and it looks great. So I'll just angle that how I want and stick him down, and it looks like he's popping up from under the sea. Now I don't have anything to tuck in the pocket for that swimming unicorn, but I just aligned the edge of him with that wave. All right, so now I'm going to glue on all my pieces. Everything is getting glued on completely flat for this card because this is going to be a shaker card. Otherwise, it would have been so fun to pop some of these images up, and you could totally do this without it being a shaker card. So you could pop some up and it would look fabulous. So this is a unicorn picnic at the beach. So I'm going to add a lot of those beachy fun things that you need: a camera, sunglasses, sunscreen, a ball, a drink, and a coconut. Yeah, just the essentials. All right, so now I have a piece of cardstock that is 9 inches by 4 inches. I'm using that same die to cut out the middle, and this is creating the frame for my shaker card. So I put on my liquid glue and I let that set for like 30 seconds, and that helps the glue not squish out so much. It's kind of like the glue has set up a little bit. So I'm going to let that dry, and once it's dry, I'm going to stamp a sentiment right onto the window sheet. It says, "Have a magical summer." It's a piecemealed saying. Some of them are from On the Beach, and the others are from, or the magical is from the Unicorn Picnic set. I'm using white StazOn ink, and by the way, this ink pad comes with all these little things, and you need to keep all the things because you want to add ink to it every time you use it. Use the spreader to spread it around. And by the way, a stamp tool is a must for this. And then make sure you immediately scrub your stamp off when you're done, because it will totally stain your stamps. So there we have it. Let that dry. I'm coming back in with my sponge that had the, what is that color? Picked raspberry on it, just to soften out some of the splatter in the sky. And then I'm taking little birds from the Village stamp set, Happy Village, and stamping those in the sky to help it look more three-dimensional, like the sky is off in the distance. All right, so there we have our frame. I put foam tape all the way around, making sure that those edges meet together really well. Now, at this point, I should have used a ton of anti-static powder tool, or a suggestion from my friend Jen, I should have used a dryer sheet. So now I'm adding glue to the exposed portion of my foam tape so that I can have a really solid seal so that sand does not escape. And I'm putting on a second window sheet. And there you have it. You can see how much static is created between two window sheets for sand, but I went for it anyway. I did. And I glued my card base down, or my card front down to my card base, which is 9 by 8, scored at 4 inches, and then that frame fit on there perfectly. So I'm going to let that dry, and we'll come back to that after I die cut some trees. So I have this palm trees die set that I die cut palm trees as well as the hammock. I like to add a little dimension to my colored cardstock, so I'm using a Copic marker to do that on both the trunks and the tree tops. So just kind of a like shade darker than the paper is, and following along like the bottom edge for that shadowy look. I'm going to glue those right to the front of the card so they're on the window sheet, and it will take a little bit extra time to glue down. So I used an acrylic block to kind of sandwich that on there and help it dry. So there's my two palm trees on the outside. We'll add some coconuts for a finishing touch, and I think it looks great. However, I am a little concerned about the amount of static in my card. But do you notice there is some little sand escaped? So what I did is I took some glue and watered it down a tiny bit. I'm using a paintbrush to seal the joints, like where the two ends of the foam tape meet. And that helps no sand to escape from my card. So here I am taking another unicorn that I stamped and sticking that into this die cut hammock. Isn't it cute? I did it with some buttercream cardstock. I wanted it to kind of look like macrame. I felt like it looked like a macrame hammock. So that's the inside of my card. With the slimline, you have so much room, you can add a little miniature scene inside and take up some serious real estate. So I had a few more images left over that I thought we should add on there because they're so cute. So I have some picnicky things and sea-like things there as well, just to continue the fun on the inside of the card. So there you have it, lots of static in there. A dryer sheet would have been great. It's kind of like looking into a snow globe though, right? Some of it's still floating in the air, but that is real sand that I collected in Hawaii, by the way, several years ago, but I like to use it for such things as this. So that is my card for today's hop. Make sure that you, first of all, leave a comment below so you can be entered to win a shopping spree to the Not Too Shabby shop. They have lawn fawn things and tons of other stuff, and the owner, Jamie, is fabulous. Also, you want to make sure and hop along. Check the description box below for the next person on the hop, and the more you comment, the more chances you have to win. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will chat with you all again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.